Germany, right? Competition.
Yeah. The more competition. It was an award about the best coffee in Germany. And we won thanks to a coffee shop in Köln, in the center side of Germany, and we served them the blend. Of course, they were able to make the coffee in the best way. Coffee is not a wine. We have not just to open it.
Yes.
We must prepare it in the proper way. So we were good, and they were good in order to make it in the best way. We won also another title in Indonesia.
Wow!
During the fair prize. So we are happy.
Which coffee won in Indonesia?
It was the 80-20 as well. We consider it the best coffee of our selection, at least. 80-20 is the classic Tuscan blend, so there is 80% of Arabica, mainly Arabica from Central America, that is usually more sweet and a little acid, but also a little bit of Ethiopian coffee that is very spiced and intense.
Beautiful flavor.
Sometimes even too much in some crops, but usually we have to decide. We put Ethiopian coffee in it, but just 5-10%, no more, otherwise it becomes a little too strong. It's a coffee that I love, but not the coffee for every day. Probably it's not the coffee for the morning, not when we wake up, at least in the morning. So 80-20, it is considered to be our best. It is the coffee we use here in Tuscany, where we stay, where our company is located. Also 100% Arabica is a classic coffee. It's a very good coffee. It's a coffee loved by some artists of latte art. Because having very few cream on the surface, the Arabica is not able to produce a lot of cream. So you have quite like a blackboard where it's easy to write. And say something like. Instead, the Robusta makes much more cream, and where the cream is very, very thick, it's not so easy to pour, making the right images. The line is not very, very good.
And you were saying that Java, beautiful, wow. Yours was nicer today in the morning. And you were saying that the Robusta Java is perfect for students, right?
Yes. The Java coffee is a special kind of coffee made in Indonesia. They make I think in English, the English name is grafting. There is a root and a plant insert inside. The root is a root of Liberica coffee. It's not Arabica, it's not Robusta, it's something else, it's Liberica from Liberia. And then inside they insert some Robusta tree, and in this way they get what is called the Java coffee. Not just because the island of Java, because in every part of the world it is cultivated, it's always called Java. It's the kind, it's the botanics, I don't know, of the coffee itself. This kind of coffee is very able to resist to insect illness and so, but also as collateral effect is the strongest of the world in terms of caffeine. It contains around 3.5% of caffeine.
Wow.
Consider that the average in the classic blend is around 1.2, so 3 times more. So
basically, if you have one espresso of Java Robusta, you start shaking. You prepare for the finals.
I would suggest you in the evening, at least you have not to prepare an exam. In this case, yes. Consider that the coffee like the Jamaica Blue Mountain, this one, it is instead one of the weaker of the world in terms of caffeine. It contains around 0.5%, 0.6, 0.7, 7 times less at the end than the Java. So when the people ask me during the courses which coffee if the coffee cannot make me sleep, I say it depends which coffee.
Yes, of course.
Still there is the problem that the people even in Italy is considering still the coffee just a coffee. Instead the coffee is a universe. It's a very, very wide universe, and every kind of people can find his own perfect coffee, at least. Mexican coffee, where spoken is quite sweet and pleasant. Ethiopian is very acidic and intense. Java is very strong. Jamaica Blue Mountain is a gourmet coffee. Fantastic as a flavor, but not very good for Italian taste, because sometimes it's too weak. And for us, Italian, they want some strong.
Particularly in Napoli.
Yeah, absolutely. In the south of Italy. It's strange to see that when going down in the Italian peninsula, we find different kinds of coffee, mainly different percentages of Arabica and Robusta. 100% Arabica in the north of Italy, like the classic coffees of the north are quite delicate. In the center of Italy, 80-20, 70-30, 80 Arabica, 20 Robusta. Going south, more Arabica, more Arabica, more Arabica. I don't know if you never visited Calabria or Sicily, the very south of Italy.
It's that's strong.
Yeah, very strong. And
a lot of Robusta.
A lot of Robusta, and also they roast the coffee very, very dark. And roasting it very dark, they enhance the sensation of bitterness, while the sensation of acidity is much smaller. Instead, when the coffee is very light, that is classic in Germany, in the country in the north of Europe, they prefer something very acidic, but not bitter at all. So the coffee is light as a color. So coffee can be different, not just because the kind of beans you use, but also depending from how the coffee is roasted. At least.
We had beautiful film today with the master roaster.
Yeah,
in Mokaflor.
absolutely. So we saw how important it is, how in few seconds it can change the color and also so the sensation that the coffee is able to give. I tried many times to do it, to roast the coffee, but I've not this kind of sensibility, not yet.